Hi everybody, it's me again. I wanted to keep chugging on Arduin. It's been a very busy day, so filming's been a bit off. So these are going to be short. So the next thing in the Arduin rules that you need to understand is experience. So Arduin traditionally does experience points point-based. All right, I know this from the older material. But for this sort of basic startup, 1980 rules that we're using, they changed a little bit, and then you go to the experience points. So let's see how they explain experience and all that. Experience is what all people occur as they proceed through life. This is what we learn while doing our jobs and coping with different situations. In the game, this is shown by a character's ability to better himself, fight, evade, etc. as he gains experience levels. Each character will gain one experience level, EL, for each 5 adventures completed through 4th level. Therefore, it takes 20 adventures to gain an additional EL, experience level. Later on, you can use more precise point value experience systems, such as in the Arduin trilogy has for a more detailed awarding of experience. You get awarded experience points for dying in this game, even. It's awesome. Remember, each EL means 1 point less on any die roll that the character has to make. It helps in attacking and in making the saving throws necessary to survive. Sometimes this 1 less is shown as a plus value. That is to say, if a character is +1 to his attack, that means he needs 1 less to do so. Yeah, Arduin is weird that way. Sometimes it'll, like a negative means you add, and a plus means you subtract. And you gotta learn this stuff. Example with an EL is 1. Gondor the dwarf needs a 14 to hit a defense factor, DF, of 2 with a warhammer. With an EL of 2, 2nd level, he needs only to roll a 13. 14 subtract 1 is 13. Good to know. So every time you go up in level, they may not be giving you a lot of hit points. Remember, you only get the 1 hit point. But they make it easier for you to do things. And we got a cool little picture here. One getting toasted. Toasty, toasty, toasty. See, I got to show you the art, man. That's cool. Little people down there getting crisped. Okay, money. What is it and how to get it? Money, gold, silver, copper, etc. will have a definite bearing on all characters in this game. It costs money to live, and characters earning a living will have no real worries. However, those characters that are broke will go hungry and have no place to stay. You're homeless. Therefore, pay close attention to the following. There are 20 copper pieces, CP, to each silver penny, SP. There are 20 silver pennies to every gold sovereign, GS. There are coins like gold crowns, GC, which is half the value of GS, and royal sovereigns, RS, that are worth 5 times the value of a GS. Also, there are brass coins that have a value about half that of copper, which are called minims, MS. Each gold coin weighs 1 ounce, and each silver and copper coin weighs an ounce. Thus, 10 ounces of silver equals 1 ounce of gold. 10 ounces of copper equal 1 ounce of silver. The gold coins are called gold sovereigns. The silver coins are called silver pennies. The copper ones are called coppers. There is also a smaller half value, half penny. So you don't say the LF, you say the half penny. You bury that sound. Money is acquired by characters in several ways, but most often by looting old tombs or treasure hoards, selling items found therein, or by hiring on for a specific fee to some rich merchant or noble to do a specific job. Characters must have an income to survive in the game world, just as we must work to pay our bills. This section of general living costs below will give you an idea just how much you will need to live. All characters roll a d20 to see how much gold sovereigns they have as a financial legacy. They may use this money to buy more equipment, live off of, spend frivolously if they so desire. However, it is suggested that each character save at least the amount necessary to live on for 2 weeks as a basic starter. The characters cannot start with less than 3 gold sovereigns. General living costs. So a loaf of bread is 2 copper pennies. A mug of ale, 5 copper pennies. A meal at an inn, 10 copper pennies. Night's lodging in an inn, 15 copper pennies. However, if bought together, a meal and a night's lodging usually costs only 20 copper pennies. Room in houses, apartments cost from 1 silver penny to 18 gold sovereigns per week stay, depending on the area and the standard of housing. A good average room would cost about 3 silver pennies per week stay and would include a bath, room, etc., down the hall, and fair security. People are taxed a standard 10% of their earning each year, but unless you have belongings or a house, land to gauge your worth against, it's usually only 5 gold sovereigns per year. Destitute people are allowed to plead their case before a tax magistrate. However, magistrates are notorious for sending people who can't pay their taxes into bondage servitude to pay off their debts. The standard rate of exchange is 1 month's servitude for every gold sovereign owed to the government. Using the above figures and ones provided on the chapter equipment list, it can be determined that a character will need approximately 24 silver pieces, or 1 gold sovereign, and 4 silver pennies, I have to remember to say pennies, per month for room and board in a general average style and cooking one's own meals. Living in an inn over a long term will cost approximately 30 silver pennies, or 1 gold sovereign and 10 silver pennies per month. You can see that it's more expensive and you only get 1 meal per day as opposed to 3 when you do it yourself. Still, some characters will prefer inn living as opposed to more mundane style. If you need further cost listings, the Arduin trilogy has 2 very comprehensive lists from which to work. However, it's strongly suggested that you derate all the prices as follows. All prices listed as gold sovereigns derate to silver pennies cost, and all prices listed as silver pennies cost derated to copper penny cost. This is due to the fact that the Arduinian multiverse is one of much higher entropy than the beginner's worlds you will be playing in. This simply means that the Arduinian world is a much higher incidence of monsters, magic, than of a beginner's world, and that the gold and other treasures are much more common. Thus, prices are higher. Kind of like comparing the year 1900 with prices now to 1980, 1981. Which, once you have finished creating your character, you must equip him. To do this, roll a d10 to determine how many items he may freely choose as personal belongings from the character equipment list below. This is a cool little rule. It is suggested that each character choose items he will need to survive or that relate to a specific character class. For example, a forester would choose a longbow, quiver, and arrows, or a thief might choose a rope and grapple for climbing. We got some equipment. Here we go. So, and then we have our equipment list. So they want you to adjust the prices not on the list that's in here, but if you use anything from the older material, because apparently it costs a lot more to live in the older material setting than in the newer material setting. That's up to you. You can also jack up the prices and adjust the coinage appropriately for inflation. That's another way to think about it, I guess. Whatever you think is appropriate. Now, before we move on to combat and all that, next episode, leveling up. So they're clearly in this starting you out by doing what amounts to milestones, where you finish everything and then boom, you go up a level instead of by experience points. I think they're trying to make it easy for people to learn the game, for people to DM the game, game master it, referee, judge it, and for people to play it. And they're probably going, oh, there's already so much math. We want to decrunch this. So when they were doing this, and I know I'm okay with experience points. I mean, I've always done that in D&D, even basic D&D. So I'm like, that's an odd one to pick to change, But what's 5 adventures, right? You got to do a bunch of adventures. Anyway, I went ahead to see what they were thinking, like what an adventure would entail, like where they were thinking. So they're talking about traveling to the place, any encounters along the way. So all that, whether you have combat or not, and then doing the actual, dungeon crawl. They give like a dungeon. They give you're crawling through something. You're exploring a specific contained area. So I call it a dungeon crawl because it's contained. It's not a dungeon though. But my point being is, in their example in the book, that's what they're talking about. So it's to travel to anything along the way, leading up to that, and then doing the adventure. Anyway, everybody have a great day.